Hi everyone and welcome to this video. In this video we're going to learn how to use type hints in the Python programming language. So type hints allow us to basically carry out static typing in Python. So by static typing I mean we can be able to use variables which are having types already defined for them. So we don't have to change those types within our program. This can allow us to basically do a lot. For example, debug stupid errors we may do in our code as our code becomes bigger. So in this video, we're going to look at how to make use of these type hints, which is a very important feature with versions of Python greater than 3.5. So we're going to begin. So the first thing I'm going to do is specify a simple function. So this function is going to add two numbers. So I'll call it add x and y. But what it shall do is to return x and y. So in this case, I'm going to first show you when we call this function, we can call it with, let's say, 1 and 2. And we can as well go ahead and call this function with, let's say, hello. And let's say we call it with y, which is going to be, so I'm going to call this world. So what I'm doing is I'm going to basically call this function again. So when I call this function, it's going to have x and y being hello and world. So we need to specify that. So for the second example, we actually have x being hello and y being world. So we may want this function to basically add two numbers, but for this case, we specify that we are adding two strings. So if I save and run this, so what we have here is it's returning 3 and then returning hello world, which we do not want. For example, if we wanted to add this these two as integers, not strings, what would we do? So this brings us to type hinting. So what we can do is to basically specify the types of what we want to put in here. So I'm going to specify that our x is going to be an integer and our y is also going to be an integer. And after doing this, then we can go ahead and run our file. So if I save this, I'm going to run, and it's again going to bring back hello world. So we have an error right here, and the error we have is that despite the fact that we stated that we expect y and x to be integers, we are now having two strings being concatenated within our function. So how do we get to catch these errors? So fortunately, we have MyPy, which is a static type checker for Python. So we need to head over to the terminal, and the way you can install MyPy is by saying pip install MyPy. So this can go ahead and install MyPy on the system. So since I have MyPy installed, feel free to install it. I can come and say MyPy and then specify that you want to run our file. So in case I run this with Python, so if I say Python, then main.py, it's going to go ahead and run the file, but it's going to run with the error of concatenating the strings. So in case I run it with MyPy, here specified main.py. In this case, it's going to show us the typing errors that we have. So for example, argument 1 to add has incompatible type, string, yes, which we passed in as hello. Then the same thing for the second argument we've passed in. So let me clear our terminal. So for example, if we go rid of the error, let's say we commented this line out. So when I save and try to run this again, we now see that we have no issues found. So if I run python main.py, in this case, we see that we have our output as 3. So let's go ahead and look at how we can be able to annotate variables. So in this case, we've been looking at how to annotate parameters that we add into a function. So let's see. So I'm going to get rid of this. And the first thing I'm going to do is to create variables. So I'm going to create variables x, which is going to be 3. So this is going to be an integer. Y is going to be, let's say, true, which is going to be a boolean. And let's say we have my list, which is basically going to be a list. So in this case, we can say 2, 3, 4, and then let's say hello. So this is going to be a list. And then let's say we have a dictionary. So I may also create a dictionary as my dict. So right here we have a dictionary called mydict, and in this case we may say that's going to have the name. Let's say the name is going to be Jonathan. Let's say we give it an age. So if you say age, then you say 23. So this is basically going to have these data types. Now let's look at how we can add types to these different variables we've created. So for an integer, we may come and use this syntax. So we specify the name of the integer, and then we basically provide the type and then specify the value, just like you see here. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for a boolean. So for a boolean, we may go ahead and say it's going to be a boolean. Then for a list, we can go ahead and specify list, and then we can also go ahead and do the same thing for a dictionary. However, if we want to carry out, like, let's say, more specific, more verbose ways of type hinting for these different variables, we may need more extra functionality. Now, fortunately for us, the Python typing module does the work for us. So what I'm going to do is to import typing and see the different ways you can be able to manipulate these different variables. So I'm going to get rid of, actually let me not get rid of them. So what I'll do is to come right here and say from typing, we are going to import. So the first thing we're going to do is to look at how we can create a list and then dictate the type of the members of that list. So I'm going to import list. So after doing that, the next thing we're going to do is to create a list. So I'm going to create let's say letters is going to be equal to a list. So in this case, we may have a list containing letters such as A, B, and C. So this is going to be A, B, and C. Now the beauty of typing is we can be able to define the types of the elements within a list. So for example, if I come here, I can come and say that's going to be a list, and then specify the type of the elements that are going to be in that list. So this is going to be a list of strings, and it's going to have these different values. So for example, if I saved and said, if I saved this and said let's print, so for example, if I printed letters, what you're going to do is to print them. So I'll run the file by pressing the play button here on my code runner, and what we have here is going to be our list of strings. So I'm going to clear my output and close. So let's say I wanted to create a list of integers. So for the same thing, I may say numbers. So this is going to be numbers, and numbers is going to be a list of numerals, or let's say integers. So in this case, we have 3 integers. So to specify the type, I may say list, and then it's going to be a list of integers. So if I came and say print, so what I can do is to print the numbers, and when I save, this is going to go ahead and print the numbers. So if I run this, we have our list of numbers printed. Now let's also look at how we can dictate the type of keys and values to, let's say, a dictionary. So I'm going to comment these print statements. So I'm going to come right here, and what I'll do is to import the dict class from typing. So this is going to be dict. And after importing dict, then what we're going to do is to come and create a dictionary. So let's say we created that dictionary. So I'm going to come right here and create a dictionary, which I'm going to call mydict. And then this dict is going to basically have, let's say, values. So let me say values. We have age, and then age is going to be 23. And in this case, we may also have height. So let's say height is going to be equal to, let's say, 2. So right here we have one thing that you can notice. We want our dictionary to have keys of strings and then values of integers. So to specify this, what we may do is to come and specify the type, which is going to be type of dict, and then the next thing we may also talk of is the type of that key, which is going to be string, and then the type of the value. In this case, the type of the value is going to be of int. So if I went ahead and printed the dictionary, so I'll say print, and this is going to be my dictionary. It's going to run, and this is going to print our dictionary we've created. So in this video, we've looked at type hinting and how we can use it to basically add static typing to our code. Thank you for watching, guys, and if you like this video, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and see you in the next video. Bye.